Do you indeed think that there is life on other planets? Tell me, do you think there is life on other planets?
Well, I'm not quite sure, but I suppose there would be.
No, he seems definite.
Really?
You seem definite about
Definitely.
it. How do you see this life and where?
Oh, I've seen a flying saucer.
You've seen one?
Yes,
Where was this?
definitely. At Lane Cove,
When was this?
1953.
You don't think this was a figment of your imagination?
Several other people with me saw it.
You all had the same figment. What did it look like?
It was standing up there, still,
Just suspended in space?
with colours coming out of it.
Flat or on its side?
It was around.
And do you think this was sent from another planet? Do you?
I really do. Well, where else would it come from?
Do you think there's life on other planets?
Oh, well, I wouldn't like to even discuss that.
Why not?
It's a debatable point, I suppose.
What do you think yourself? You must have an opinion here.
Well, definitely not.
Not?
Not.
Well, what leads you to say that? Scientific investigation or?
Well, only working off the theory of the Bible. Well, there's only one world, isn't there? And
But do you think that can stand up to present scientific investigation?
I think it could.
Do you think so?
I think
as far
it
as the
could.
universe goes?
Definitely so.
During the start of World War I in 1914, the United States was lagging behind when it came to military aircrafts, whereas countries like France had 1,400, Germany 1,000, Imperial Russia 800, and Great Britain had 400. Shockingly, the United States had only 23 military aircrafts. To tackle this embarrassment, engineers and researchers from the United States military came together, and with the help of the United States Congress, on March 3, 1915, the National Advisory Committee of Aeronautics, or NACA, was conceived. Its main objective was to study and solve problems brought by aeronautics, and NACA was to come up with new ideas and inventions to tackle this problem. During this process, advanced cutting-edge technologies emerged, thus helping the United States and its allies win World War I, which in turn spawned a world-leading civil aviation industry that helped shape the modern world. However, NACA did not stop there. In its quest for air dominance, it pushed the boundaries even further, becoming the first organization to invent the first supersonic aircraft, the Bell X-1, which broke the sound barrier in 1947, by achieving speeds 2 times faster than the speed of sound. This would prove substantial in 1975, when the first commercial supersonic aircraft was launched, the Concorde, cutting distances that would normally take 8 hours, to less than 3 hours. But because of the high cost of building these planes, noise pollution, and other factors, the Concorde was retired on November 23, 2003. While NACA was busy dominating the skies, and coming up with new innovations for the US military, little did NACA know, it was about to embark on a journey that would change the course of history forever.
This is really quite an advancement for not only the Russians, but for international science. I think we'd all agree on that. It's the first time anybody has ever been able to get anything out that far in space and keep it there for any length of time. And this is probably the first step toward space travel or moon travel, something we'll probably run into maybe in Eddie's lifetime here at least.
Eddie, would you like to take a trip to the moon?
No, sir, I like it fine right here.
At exactly 7:28 p.m. on October 4, 1957, the Soviet Union became the first country to launch Sputnik, the first artificial satellite to be sent into space. It could be seen by anyone with a telescope around the Earth. With this great feat, the United States lost its bragging rights, and for fears of being attacked from space, the United States Congress went back to the drawing board, and under the National Aeronautics Act of 1958, signed by President Dwight Eisenhower, a new and improved organization was formed, the National Aeronautics Space Administration, or NASA, and everything under NACA was to be dissolved into NASA. NASA's purpose was to study and solve problems brought by aeronautics, within and outside Earth's atmosphere. In an effort to regain back its bragging rights, the United States on February 1, 1958, NASA responded to the Soviet Union with its own satellite, called Explorer 1. It was the first US satellite and the first satellite to carry scientific instruments for measuring the radiation environment in Earth's orbit. This achievement marked the beginning of the space race era. After Explorers 1 success, NASA would go on to send instruments into space, from satellites, whose purpose was to broadcast signals for television and radios, to space probes, which were to explore and study space, to space stations, which was the flying house in space for astronauts, to telescopes, which were to observe stars and the infrared light emitting from space. And there is also a time the Russians sent Lahika, the first astronaut dog, into space, and the Americans did not want to be left behind. They sent Ham, the first chimpanzee astronaut. Luckily, they both survived, which in turn laid the foundations for the first manned mission to the moon. After Apollo's 11 mission success, it was evident that the United States had won the space race, and the feud with the Soviets over bragging rights was over, and now NASA's sole purpose was to study and explore the universe. One of the studies that were done from data taken from Earth and space-based telescopes suggested that the surrounding atmosphere of the outer planets, which are Uranus, Saturn, Neptune, and Jupiter, could possibly harbor some sort of life. With this profound information, NASA researchers, in collaboration with two well-known scientists and astronomers, Carl Sagan and Frank Drake, embarked on a journey to investigate and possibly look for any signs of life on these planets.
Jupiter has an atmosphere rich in hydrogen and its compounds, the same kind of atmosphere that the Earth had at the time of the origin of life. So we think that the building blocks of life, at least earthly life, are being produced on Jupiter today, raining down from the skies like manna from heaven. And Jupiter may be a vast planetary laboratory in the chemistry of the origin of life that's been working for about 5 billion years. It's by no means out of the question that there are forms of life in the clouds of Jupiter. And indeed, if you viewed the solar system from afar, I think you could make an argument that life on Jupiter was more likely than life anywhere else, including on the Earth.
Terry Drinkwater has the story of an endless Star Trek, the journey of a pioneer in space and time.
And on March 3, 1972, and April 5, 1973, NASA launched two space probes, Pioneer 10 and Pioneer 11, into space. They were sent to investigate and collect valuable information of the outer planet's composition, atmosphere, signs of life, and also to explore the cosmos. Pioneer 10 was to fly by Jupiter and towards the constellation Taurus, while Pioneer 11 was to fly by Saturn and towards the constellation Sagittarius. However, before they were launched, they were both fitted with messages for intelligent beings, that is, if they were ever to be found by any other beings.
There are interstellar spacefaring societies which might someday pick up this derelict, no longer radioing. We thought we would put a message on it to indicate a little bit of where we are, when we are, and who we are.
The messages were in form of golden plaques, designed by Carl Sagan and Frank Drake. The messages contained an illustration of the hydrogen atom, which is abundant in the universe, the distance and direction to our sun, the solar system, where the message came from, the planet that sent the message, the size of the Pioneer space probe, and the humans that inhabit planet Earth. Unfortunately, Pioneer 10's last signal was on January 23, 2003, and it was estimated to be 7.6 billion kilometers away, while Pioneer 11's last signal was on November 24, 1995. Estimated to be 15 billion kilometers away from planet Earth. The Pioneers were the first space probes to be sent to the outer planets, and the first space probes to be sent into space with a message for intelligent beings, but they were not the last. Data sent back to Earth by the Pioneer space probes showed that the outer planets were not solid planets but rather gas planets, comprised of mainly hydrogen and helium, and thus could not inhabit any life forms. But as more data was sent, NASA scientists came to the conclusion that there were other galaxies in the universe that had solar systems and planets that were similar in size, temperature, and were close to their suns, exactly like planet Earth. And with this realization, the search for extraterrestrial intelligence, or SETI, was formed, with the help of Carl Sagan, Frank Drake, and NASA. Its purpose was to search and locate intelligent life in the universe. And on the 16th of November 1974, Carl Sagan and his team beamed the most powerful radio broadcast message into space, Named the Arecibo message, it was sent by the largest telescope ever constructed, called the Arecibo telescope, located in Puerto Rico. The Arecibo message, which was in form of a binary code, was sent to Messier 13, which is a star cluster, located 25,000 light-years away from planet Earth. The broadcasted message contained information about planet Earth's mathematics, DNA, population, solar system, and the telescope used to send the message. As mentioned earlier, the Arecibo message was in form of a binary code. A binary code is a computer language, and it's usually in form of 1 and 0s, where 1 means on and 0 means off. When we convert the signal into binary code, this is what we get. You can almost see some patterns when I zoom in and out. If we color all the ones in our code, this is what we get. Each of these black bars in every column represents what the beings from other worlds would see after they decode the message. The first column represents numbers or math from 1 to 10, second column is the basic elements that make up life, which are hydrogen, carbon, nitrogen, oxygen, and phosphorus. Third column is the formula of nucleotides in the human DNA. Fourth column is the number of nucleotides in a human DNA, which is 3.2 billion. Fifth column is the structure and shape of a human DNA. Sixth column is the shape of a human being. Seventh column is the average height of a human being, which is 5 feet 7 inches. Eighth column is the average human population, which at that time was 4.3 billion. Ninth column is the solar system and where planet Earth is located. 10th column is the Arecibo telescope that sent the message. And the last column is the size of the Arecibo telescope. Mysteriously, a few years later, astronomer Jerry Emin was busy in his house reviewing data recorded by the Big Ear telescope, when suddenly he discovered something that would come to shake the scientific community. Jerry Emin had discovered a narrowband radio signal, which was received by the Big Ear telescope. Shocked and amazed by his findings, he named it the WOW signal. The WOW signal lasted only 72 seconds and it appeared to be coming from the constellation Sagittarius, which is 5,000 light-years away from planet Earth. What scientists found odd about the WOW signal was its unusual characteristics, including its duration, frequency, and intensity. It was very narrowband, which means that the signal was confined to a specific range of frequencies, rather than spread across a wider spectrum of frequencies. The most intriguing aspect of the signal was that it was detected at a frequency of 1,420 MHz, which is a frequency that is naturally emitted by hydrogen atoms. The frequency of 1,420 MHz is known as the hydrogen line, and many scientists believe that it would be an ideal frequency for beings on other worlds to use to communicate with us, as it is a frequency that is common throughout the universe. Despite extensive follow-up searches, the signal has never been detected again, and the mystery of who or what sent the signal remains unknown. This discovery led to another message being sent into space.
Voyager's passage by Jupiter accelerated it towards a close encounter with the planet Saturn. Saturn's gravity will propel it on to Uranus, and in this game of cosmic billiards after Uranus, it will plunge on past Neptune, leaving the solar system and becoming an interstellar spacecraft, destined to wander forever the great ocean between the stars. And if Voyager should, sometime in its distant future, encounter beings from some other civilization in space, it bears a message, a phonograph record, golden, delicate, with instructions for use. And on this record are a sampling of pictures, sounds, greetings, and an hour and a half of exquisite music, the Earth's greatest hits. A gift across the cosmic ocean from one island civilization to another.
After the success of the Pioneers, NASA began on the biggest project ever done by mankind. NASA was to send 2 space probes, Voyager 1 and Voyager 2, into interstellar space, meaning outside of our solar system and into other solar systems in our galaxy. But because NASA was on a budget and could not afford enough fuel for the journey, they had to take advantage of an alignment that occurs after 172 years. This is whereby all the planets in our solar system are aligned almost at the same time, and the gravitational assists of this alignment would propel the space probes out of Earth's solar system and save fuel for interstellar space. Voyager 1 and Voyager 2 were launched in 1977, and just like the Pioneers, the Voyagers were both fitted with messages for intelligent beings. Unlike the Pioneers' plaque messages, the Voyagers' messages were in the form of golden records, which contained more than 1 hour of audio and visual information of planet Earth and its inhabitants. And this is what was on the record. On the cover of the record were instructions on how to play the record in binary code, how long the message was, location of our sun, video wave signals found on the record, how to decode and scan the signals. And if they followed all the steps, this is what they would have seen as the first image. After successfully decoding the instructions, and let's assume they had a spare record player lying around, this is what they would have seen and heard.
Hello from the children of planet Earth.
As the Secretary General of the United Nations, an organization of 147 member states who represent almost all of the human inhabitants of the planet Earth, I send greetings on behalf of the people of our planet. We step out of our solar system into the universe seeking only peace and friendship, to teach if we are called upon, to be taught if we are fortunate. We know full well that our planet and all its inhabitants are but a small part of this immense universe that surrounds us, and it is with humility and hope that we take this step.
I should like to extend the greetings of the government and the people of Canada to the extraterrestrial inhabitants.
As of now, Voyager 1 is 23 billion kilometers away, while Voyager 2 is 19 billion kilometers away from planet Earth. Fortunately, they are both going strong. Mysteriously, a few months later this happened. The same year, the Voyagers were sent into space at around 5 p.m. In some parts of southern England in the United Kingdom, Andrew Gardner, a television presenter for the Independent Television News, was delivering the top news headlines, when suddenly the broadcast audio was interrupted by a voice calling himself Vrillian. Vrillian claimed to be a being from another world, and that he had a message for the people of planet Earth. The message ran for 6 minutes, and this is what conspired on ITN News.
Based on one man, one vote. But, he says, there are conditions. These include stopping the execution of all captured prisoners of war, allowing Europe to take part in negotiations, being arrested. In Australia, Mr. Kerry Panker's cricketers are still pleading yesterday's High Court decision, which lifts the ban on them playing in Test matches.
This is the voice of Allah, representative of the Ashtar Galactic Command, speaking to you. For many years you have seen us as lights in the skies. We speak to you now to say the same as we have done to your brothers and sisters all over this, your planet Earth. We come to warn you of the destiny of your race and your world, so that you may communicate to your fellow beings the course you must take to avoid the disaster which threatens your world and the beings on other worlds around you. This is in order that you may share in a great awakening as the planet passes into the new age of Aquarius. The new age will be a time of great peace and evolution for your race, but only your rulers are made aware of the evil forces that can overshadow their judgments. Be still now, and listen, for your chance may not come again. All your weapons of evil must be removed. The time for conflict is now past, and the race of which you are a part may proceed to the higher stages of its evolution, if you show yourselves worthy to do this. You have but a short time to learn to live together in peace and goodwill. Small groups all over the planet are learning this, and exist to pass on the light of the dawning new age to you all. You are free to accept the protection teachings of those who learn to live.
Many go as wide as this. Then they run out.
Spiritual evolution. Here now, the voice of Grimon, representative of the Ashtar Galactic Command, speaking to you. Be aware also that there are many false prophets and guides at present operating on your world. They will suck your energy from you, the energy you call money, and will put it to evil ends, giving you worthless dross in return. Your divine self will protect you from this. You must try to be sensitive to the voice within that can tell you what is true and what is learn to listen to the voice of truth which is within you.
It's such a
Lead yourself. This is our message.
I really appreciate understand that we can't think. I insist so delicious, full of only really choice ingredients. I can
Cats have 9 lives.
Have no fear. Keep on learning yourself and discover with the race of your planet Earth. Bring the Ashtar Galactic Command and attention. We are now leaving the planes of your existence. May you be blessed by the supreme love and truth of the
use your imagination.
We understand that viewers in some parts of the region are receiving a breakthrough in sound. We're sorry about this, and we're doing our best to rectify the fault.
To this day, the source of where the transmission interruption came from has never been determined. What happened next baffled the scientific community. A crop circle is an enigmatic pattern created by the flattening of a crop. On August 19, 2001, a crop circle appeared next to the Chilo-Bolton telescope, located in southeast England in the United Kingdom. The crop circle formed looked like a face with 2 large eyes, and mysteriously after 3 days, another crop circle appeared next to the previous crop circle. But this new crop circle looked almost similar to the Arecibo message that was sent by Carl Sagan in 1974. Using the same formula that was used to create the Arecibo message, the Chilo-Bolton crop circle message contained math. Silicon is added as one of the basic elements of life on their planet. They have big heads compared to humans. They have a different DNA structure and shape. The average height is 3 feet 4 inches. They inhabit the 3rd, 4th, and 5th planets in their solar system. They have a population of around 12 billion. Their communication device, and lastly, the size of their communication device, whatever formed the crop circle, seem to have been conveying a response about their planet, and because of the mystery surrounding crop circles, ufologists and researchers concluded this could be a reply to the Arecibo message that was sent by Carl Sagan in 1974. More information about crop circles will be covered in the next episode.
And we have engine start. And liftoff. Decollage, liftoff from a tropical rainforest to the edge of time itself. James Webb begins a voyage back to the birth of the universe. punching a hole through the clouds 20 seconds.
On December 25, 2021, NASA launched the largest, most expensive telescope, costing $10 billion, into space, called the James Webb Telescope. Its purpose is to observe the first formation of stars and galaxies, view objects that are too distant, and also look for habitable planets. On January 10, 2022, the James Webb Telescope reached its destined location, called L2, or the Lagrange point, which is 1.5 million kilometers away from planet Earth. Unlike the Hubble telescope, the James Webb Telescope cannot be reached or repaired by any astronauts. On July 12, 2022, the James Webb Telescope sent its first stunning images of planets, stars, and galaxies. As of last year September, to date, the James Webb Telescope has discovered over 190 habitable planets. Could it be that these UAPs are coming from one of these planets?
NASA is currently hiring 24 theologians to participate in its program at Princeton University that convenes theologians, scientists, scholars, and policymakers alike to assess how the public would react to alien life on other planets. According to Cambridge priest and theologian Dr. Andrew Davidson, who will be one of the 24 hired, we are getting closer to finding life on other planets, and says, quote, non-religious people also seem to overestimate the challenges that religious people would experience if faced with evidence of alien life.
Due to the sudden increase in UAP activities in our skies, NASA has decided to investigate this phenomenon. On October 21, 2022, NASA selected 16 individuals who are leaders in academia, science, and in data analysis. They are to examine classified data collected over the years on UAPs by the United States intelligence, and they'll provide their findings in the middle of this year. Subscribe to be the first to know when the report comes out. It's September 16, 1994. Pupils from Zimbabwe claim to have seen beings, not of this planet. If life does exist on other worlds, what does that mean for life on this planet? Why are they coming now? Which planet do they come from? And what do they want? Next episode, The Phenomenon.